You're now live.
We're live.
Sweet. Okay. Welcome to a happy Thursday. It is Dispatches from the Front yet again, and today is story time. So Leo decided to buy a house this year, and let me tell you, just like anyone else's, it was not a smooth ride. So he's here to talk to us today about what that looked like and how he overcame challenges just like any other buyer.
Yeah, well, welcome to story time. This story is just meant to show everybody that it doesn't matter what world, what industry, what knowledge you have of the real estate world, you go through the same stuff. Everyone's going through the same stuff. Having more knowledge prepares you for these situations, gives you better expectations, and just gets you prepared for the long haul, the grind, right? My wife and I were not exempt from the grind. We were looking for about a year. We were pretty casual, but like it usually happens, you start getting the bug and you start looking harder and you start trying to poke, maybe find some off market deals. And, we went through about 5 or 6 opportunities. And there was one opportunity right in the middle of that where we actually listed our home and got 4 offers, I believe, and then had to tell everybody that we were pulling it off the market. So that was fun. That was step 1. That was kind of a little bit of a hiccup, right? I got dressed up in a dinosaur costume. We blew it up on the internet, and all of a sudden, all of the interest and offers we got had to go away. So we kept looking, and then we put an offer on another house, and they decided not to sell last minute. So we kept looking and kept looking and kept looking and putting in offers and taking everything to the end of the road. So I think what I'm going to be getting at is it's important to take every opportunity as far down the road as you can until you get a true stop in the road that says, nope, you're not going any further on this one. This is not an opportunity, or it's not an opportunity for now. Come back. And if it falls in line, into the flow, into stride, let it be. Right. So we actually ended up finding something on the market. And there was 8 other offers on it. And we were actually contingent on the sale of our house. So we had about, 10 hours to find somebody that would be willing to pay full price and would be willing to, make it as solid for us, waiving contingencies, et cetera, as possible, so that we could buy this other house, because we had to sell our house to buy another house. So 8 other offers. The listing agent on the other end was just awesome to work with and just kept coming back to us. And, typically if you don't hear from the listing agent during a review period, that either means they're grinding it out to come to the conclusion, the right offer, or that you're just way out and there's someone better. There's a better offer that they're just, diving in on, and they're just trying to hone in on the final landing point. So he came back and he said, hey, look, here's the deal. If you can, increase your earnest money, which, it doesn't matter if what bracket of income you're in, and, earnest money is sitting there, especially if it's non-refundable. Ours was non-refundable. And, my wife and I looked at each other and we're like, okay. So they had us increase earnest money almost 2.5 times, which is kind of scary because the other ones had $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 in non-refundable earnest money. If you're listening to this, $40,000, $50,000, and $60,000 in non-refundable earnest money. When we bought our house, I don't know, how much did you put down on your first house?
Like, I don't know, $1,000.
$1,000
non-refundable.
And it was refundable earnest money. So that was, something that we had experienced before, but, a new scenario on it. So we did that. And they just kept coming back to us. So we said, you know what, we're going to make this work. It's meant to be. So I think the big story behind all this, and we ended up winning it, which was awesome. So huge kudos to Ethan Potts at Windermere for being an awesome listing agent, representing his clients really, really well. But ultimately, you have to understand that you have to take every opportunity to the end of the road. You have to keep going. Nobody's exempt from it. Doesn't matter if you're a broker or not. This market is not about deals. It's about diligence, right? And ultimately, when you kind of hit this point where you feel like you're forcing it. You're like, I feel like I'm forcing this. This one did not feel like that. And so we got these signs of, hey, if you just increase the earnest money, you'll beat 8 other offers. We should do this.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I think that's something that I've noticed over the last few years. I mean, with working with mostly buyers, I can safely say that even the buyers that had to go through 5 and 7 homes, they ended up in a home that made the most sense and ended up being the best one out of the bunch. So something I've been trying to do is encourage people, hey, it does happen. And oftentimes, or every time at this point, the home that you end up with is the one that makes the most sense for you and was the right one to begin with. So, if we lose, it's okay. It's all a learning experience. I love to teach. And so one of the first things that happens anyway is buyers kind of fumbling around a little bit and learning as I teach them, right? And so, writing your first offer and going through every page to understand what you're signing up in the first place. And then, all the different ins and outs of each transaction, because they're all different. This seller's under duress and needs to sell right away and needs a 2-week close. So cash only, basically, or, that kind of stuff. Everything's different and you always have to wade through it and figure out. And it's a lot of second guessing. On the buyer's agent end, you're doing a lot of inferring, right? Reading between the lines and trying to assume what you think you see. And like, there is no real answers, because coming from the other side, right, protecting the seller, they can't divulge a bunch of information, right? They have to keep it very close to the chest. And so they're not just going to call you up and say, oh, here's the magic recipe. That's not a thing. So you have to try and come up with that recipe on your own through trial and error within short periods of time often. So you just have to really be careful. Understand that it's a long game, it's not a short game,
Right.
and you have to stay diligent.
It's a game of inches. So to wrap this all up, it matters to be prepared. Coming into this market with no pre-approval, your house isn't ready for sale, all of these things, it matters. I mean, yes, if you're a strong buyer, a strong borrower, great. Be prepared. Trust me. We did everything we possibly could to follow our own system, and it worked. It paid off. If you're curious what that looks like to buy contingent in this market, what the preparation looks like, call us. We can answer your questions. It's not an easy process, but it's worth it every time. Be prepared and educated.
Yes, educated.
It's a game of inches, people. In Chris's words.
Yes. Well, have a wonderful Thursday, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Looks like we might get some sunshine, and call us if you need something. We're here.